Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and your folks out there on YouTube or on Facebook. And if you're out there just searching for topics, I don't have all the answers to things, but I can create some interesting questions as a senior. And after we finish our working life, like during our working life, the one thing they don't teach us in school, what should be taught in school, is the importance of when you start working. As soon as you get to work after graduated and you got a job out, people should be educated to save 10% of any dollar that they make into a retirement savings plan. So for every $100 you earn, you put $10 into a retirement savings plan. And if you do that over your lifetime, you will have a pretty good savings plan to retire on. But you have to leave it alone. You know, stay in the bank. It's got to stay there. No, a lot of companies used to offer a retirement savings program, and I started with the government in 1959. They told us on the first day that we started work that we're going to get paid $15.36 a day, which was less than $2 an hour. And next question was the girl asked was, what about your retirement program? Well, I was 20 years old, and retirement was not even in my scope. So she said, well, let me tell you a little bit about it. She said, in 6 months, we take 6% of every dollar you make, and we put into a retirement savings plan. So my next question was, how much can you take? And she said, well, we can take up to 10%, depending on what your preference is. So I did the math in my head quickly, and that was about 2 cases of beer a month, because at that particular time, we were paying about $2.52 for 12 beer. So I paid 10% of my life into a retirement savings plan, which put me into a really good savings. And if we don't have that retirement savings plan, the one that the government give you, there's not enough money there for you when you get old. So I encourage all my relatives who are young and just starting work to make sure they go down to the bank and buy a retirement savings plan and put 10% of every dollar that they earn away into a retirement savings plan. Make sure you get one that we get the best interest you have from the bank, and just pay into it, because before you know it, it'll be 20, 30 years will be gone by, and you'll have a good savings plan there. So, and you'll have also got the government one, and you'll have a Canada pension, and you'll always have the old age pension as well. So you should be in pretty good shape. Now, we see people along the way now in our age group, where two of them move into an apartment block, and they're paying about anywhere between $1,200 and $1,500 a month for 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. And they do just fine with the Canada pension and the old age pension each, because that gives you about $1,600 a month each. And then all hell breaks loose when one of them has to go into a care home because their pensions follow them. So the one person is back in the apartment block trying to live on one pension. Well, if the cost of your accommodation and your TV and your phone and the gas for your car and your insurance and food is higher than the income when you come in on a pension, and you don't have any extra savings, in some cases people have built a house, sold a house and put the money in the bank, and they use that for the retirement, and that's one way of doing it. Or buying extra property while you're working. Have your retirement plan working for you, but buy some extra property and maybe sell it later on and have some extra cash. But it's just a thing to watch out for. So this is kind of aimed at people that are just thinking about retiring. Because once you're at 65 years old, your earning is going to go down. It's harder to earn at that age because you're competing with younger people. Now, I think we should talk about the definition of happiness. Now, we were married for 55 years, and we had 2 children, moved around, and had a good job. Got a good retirement plan in operation now. And even though my wife has passed away after 55 years, my pension, I have my work pension and also my Canada pension, old age pension. So really I'm okay. So I'm living in a rented apartment now. And I may eventually move into either Lakeview property, which is like a big motel down by the lake, and you get all your food supplied for you. Or I may even stay where I'm at. I'm in a rented apartment, and I can get Meals on Wheels delivered. I'm getting that delivered for $6 a meal. So I have that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I have one meal delivered, hot meal, good meals. And there's enough food in the package for 2 days, or 2 meals rather. So that helps out. Then we walk downtown and buy a hamburger and stuff like that, or maybe just drive down and pick up some macaroni and cheese or sandwiches or whatever you like to eat. Don't do a lot of cooking. But anyway, the definition of happiness is it's kind of hard to define. Like a lot of times when we're younger like that, we're so busy working, we have a job and we're doing our job and earning money and buying a car and buying a house and buying a retirement plan. And really, everything goes on. And so as long as your partner and you have a good grasp on wants and needs, the thing that kills a lot of marriage is the wants thing. Now, the wants and needs are very hard to separate, and the smart people who stay together and live in a life where they live together and are married for a lot of years figure it out right away. Now, a need is a roof over your head and also a warm place to sleep, and you have a furnace to heat the place up, and you have fridges and stuff, and maybe a TV, and have a house that's warm in the winter, and you have a job where you can pay for your rent or buy the house, pay for your utilities, pay for your expenses of your children going to school and their clothes and stuff like that, insurance for your home and all the stuff. So as long as you're lucky, if you and your partner get along good together, if you're grown up and you understand the needs, wants and needs. The needs thing is sometimes just tears the hell out of marriages because the wants is always too great. Like it's nice to have a good car. It's nice to have a good couch and some furniture and stuff too. But we can never keep up with the wants because you can buy a cellular phone today, and before 1 week goes by, there's a better one on the market, and they're expensive. You're talking about $700-800 for a bloody phone, and we can't keep up with the Joneses. And you buy a new car, and in 1 year or 2 years down the road, there's a better one made, but you're already financed up to maybe $30,000 or $40,000 on the one you're driving, and there's always something better out there. But sometimes it's a perception. We think it's better, but it's not. And it's like where a person gets marry a nice person, and get along really good, and all of a sudden the guy has got a wandering eye, and he sees his next door neighbor or somebody else on the street that's a girl is a little prettier than the one he's got, maybe bigger boobs, longer legs, longer hair, and all of a sudden, because he doesn't understand the need of staying with his original wife, he gets attracted to the other woman that he perceived as being prettier. So now he's chasing a woman, and he's already got a good wife. Sometimes it causes marriage breakups, and when it all boils down to it, we're all the same. We got different names and different skin colors and stuff like that, but we're all people. We're all human beings, and nobody's perfect. You might find somebody who seems like a nice person. So you split up with your original wife and get another one, and all of a sudden, the person that you're living with the second time around, problems are springing up that you never had with the first one. So there's no perfect marriages, and it's like working on any job. There's no perfect job. You have problems you have to solve, and I think some of the hardest things is to not be as tempted by the new cars and the bigger televisions and the bigger houses and stuff. Yes, there may be some a little bit better. They may appear better, But we've got to remember, if we're living in a house and the roof don't leak and the furniture is good and you got a good furnace and you've got all the bells and whistles, you've got the television and you've got the phone and stuff like that, and a garage to put your car in, it's not going to get that better if you just buy a bigger house and you're going to have more room and you need more furniture to fill it up. While your children are growing up, you need probably a bigger house, maybe a 3-bedroom home. But what happens now, we see people living in 3-bedroom homes, a full basement full of furniture, and their families all grown up and gone. So they got that huge bloody house to pay the heating for, and the taxes, and the insurance, and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes we get to the point where the house we buy and we grow up in becomes a burden for us, because as we age, we get to the point sometimes where we have walking problems, and we have some of the houses were built in the early days, and they have stairs. And as we age, sometimes we got difficulty climbing up stairs, and so sometimes the house we built for ourselves when we were growing up and working, and our family was growing up, becomes a hazard for us as seniors. So in those cases, it's sometimes easier just to sell the house and go into either a rented apartment or something smaller that you can afford. And if it's a care home, you might not have any choice. The only thing is the care homes are pretty expensive now. We got some assisted living now that are running $3,500 to $5,000 a month. That's okay if you both have good pensions and you're able to pay the bill. But I wanted to spend a couple minutes talking about happiness. I don't have all the answers. I can only tell you, at my age, I'm still driving, walking, talking. And the thing that I find that creates happiness for me, today we drove out to Selmo, met a friend of mine who lives out there. He's a good bass guitar player. So we spent probably about 5 hours sitting around playing music. So we played a bunch of the old tunes that we played over the years. We played for dances and parties over the years. So we sat down and we played some of the old songs, and we made some mistakes, but we had a good laugh. Nobody's perfect. So we killed about 5 hours. So I had a nice drive. First stop before I left town, went down, had coffee downtown, met some people at the bakery, had a good chat with some people, went down to the waterfalls where I got the memorial bench for the wife, gave a little gratitude talk there, and thanking for all the good years we've had and our health and being able to get up in the morning and wake up and go and visit people, play music, drive an automobile. And sometimes people have happiness and they don't realize, they think that there's something else, they should feel different. I remember seeing one a little write-up on Facebook where a lady had written an article. She said, I always wanted to be happy. So, of course, I had to get in there and talk to her. I said, excuse me, I've been through that. I've worked all my life, not all of it, but quite a bit of it. And I've worked and had jobs, and now I'm retired. So my idea about happiness is if you're living in a building, a nice building, and you got a place to park your car out of the snow, and you're not having to cut your grass, or if you have to cut the grass, as long as you got a lawnmower, and if the house is warm, so in the wintertime, the house is warm, comfortable, you got a good bed to sleep in, and some nice quilts to keep you warm. And if you've got a radio or a television, or maybe a cell phone, if you got a cell phone and a phone, you don't really need a cell phone, but you can have them both if you can afford it. But it all boils down to how much money do you want to spend a month and how much money do you have coming in. And after you retire, you have less money coming in than you had when you were working. So everything that we want or dream about, we have to be able to afford it. In my particular case, we were lucky when we retired. We retired at age 57. And at the time we retired, we were getting a full pension. So we had a full pension, plus the Canada pension and the old age pension. And so we did traveling for 25 years. We bought a 28-foot motorhome, and we traveled Alaska, we traveled across Canada, down to the States. We drove down to Nashville, and we went to Branson, Missouri, and traveled all over to country music shows and enjoyed everything like that. And for me, that was heaven. And right now, I'm sitting here on a couch, a comfortable couch, and talking into my cell phone, recording the conversation. We had a great day today. It was like a spring day. It was warm out, the sunshine. Jack's place was great. A nice place to set up and play music. And we took a pizza out and also a lemon pie. So we had a pretty tough day today. Got up, had coffee downtown. We had breakfast before I left the apartment. Downtown, had coffee, and drove down to the waterfall park, did a little gratitude talk, drove out to Selma, which is 30 miles away. We played music for about 5 hours, ate a pizza, and ate a lemon pie, and had a lot of good discussion with friend Jack. And I think if we've got family and friends in a town, and as we get older, it's too easy to sit and watch television. And as you sit and watch TV, all this junk you see on the news and stuff pollutes your brain. It doesn't create happiness. It creates fear in most of the cases. You're watching wars in other countries and stuff like that, and all the bad news that's coming on about this is happening and that's happening, and wars and avalanches and tornadoes and all this crap. Well, we can't let that affect our minds. Too many good things out there. If we can walk, if we're fortunate, and we've got to keep walking, we can't just give it up. Because if we sit around and watch television, pretty soon our leg muscles are weak, and our knee muscles and our thigh muscles get weak, and we can't walk. And pretty soon we're in a wheelchair, and pretty soon we're crippled up, and we can't walk at all. So as a healthy senior, it behoves us, if we can. There's some people who can't walk because they've got poor joints, and maybe they're crippled, and some of it's repairable and some of it's not. But I think in order for us to remain and keep our sanity and keep healthy, the better off we are. If we can walk and enjoy the fresh air, the exercise, phone up friends and family, get together and go on picnics or go for walks, ride bikes, or anything we can to get together and get out in the fresh air and get some exercise. And whether we realize it or not, that's heaven. Now, after we pass away and we die, our bodies are going to decompose and are going to become part of the earth. But that's the end of the enjoyment. At that point, our bodies deteriorate. We have no feeling at all. And we don't really know about the afterlife. There's been a lot of talk about that. But after being on the farm for a while and seeing animals die and butchering them up to actually eat them, once the animal dies, or shot, if it's a moose or a deer or whatever, once the animal is put to death and then cut up in pieces and cooked and eaten, that's food, and we've consumed the food. And after we die, we have no need for food anymore. We're going to become part of the earth, like the dinosaurs. We become oil. Our bodies disintegrate, go into the earth, and we become the earth. So it really behooves us to get out there, talk with our friends, go to church or go to parties, go to dances, go to picnics and ball games, go swimming, hiking, or whatever you want to do. If there's anything you want to do, by all means go and do it, because we never know how many days, how many Mondays or Thursdays and Fridays, whatever we got left. It might be a last one. And when you visit somebody, whether it's your uncle or whether it's your next door neighbor or whatever, make sure and give them a good hug and say, look, thank you very much for being part of my life, because it might be the last time I see you. And you want to thank them for all the great things that they've done for us, and exchange some real thank yous and some good hugs. Thank each other for being part of each other's life. And we got to do that every time we separate. And when we see people that we know or we don't know, we have to greet them and shake hands and hug and enjoy our lives. Because we never know how many days we got left. And maybe today might be the last day. We might not wake up tomorrow. Might not wake up at all. And this will have been the last day then. So I want to spend a few minutes talking about happiness. And as far as I'm concerned, right now, I have a great place to stay. It's comfortable. I've got a nice television if I want to watch it. I've got a nice cell phone I'm talking on right now. Met some nice people today. Some of them were new friends. Some of them were old friends. Shared some ideas, and we played some music with my friend Jack. Had a great time. We had lots of mistakes, and we learned some new stuff, and life is good. But each day when we wake up in the morning, we will only be unhappy if we allow ourselves to be unhappy. Now, if there's anything you like doing, music is a wonderful thing. It creates happiness. It lightens up your mood, makes you feel happy. So if you enjoy music, or if you like playing music, or you like to learn how to play music, I'd recommend you try that because it's a wonderful thing. And remember, keep in touch with your friends and family. And while you're talking to them, if you're a similar age, you can look at them and talk to each other. How are you doing? How's your health? And if they're older than us, let's say if they're 10 or 15 years older and they're doing fine, that's a good measurement stick for us, indicating that we might make it that far too. And when they look at us, if we're 10 or 15 years younger or older than them, they can say, well, by God, if you got to be 75 or 80 years old and I'm only 50, there's a good chance I'll be the same as you. So that means I got another 30 years. So we're continually measured against somebody else and comparing. And if we're having a joke at coffee, we sit there and talk, there's 3 or 4 of us, and I usually tell guys, how do you think we're doing in a contest? And of course, what contest? I said, the death contest. Because we're all competing against one another to see who dies first. And we're not going to all die at the same time. And we're finding that locally, where we find a lot of our friends are passing on, and some of them are younger and some are older. And we will miss them. But we will remember all the good times and appreciate and be thankful for all the years that we spent together, and all the fun times and all the jokes and the good times we had. And so when we wake up in the morning, we decide what kind of a day do we want. If you want to be mad at the world and complain about everything, and when you see somebody on the street, you can complain, bitch and complain, it doesn't do any good because people will try to distance themselves. Negativity doesn't go anyplace. Happiness is the only way to fly. And we are going to lose some things as we get older. We'll lose our ability to drive, and maybe we'll lose our ability to walk or whatever, but that's all part of life, and life expectancy is not the same for everybody. All we can do is eat healthy, exercise, enjoy the fresh air and food, enjoy ourselves, enjoy our friends and family, and share ideas. So I'd encourage you to look at the video and come back and make some notes at the bottom. Say, did you enjoy it? Did you learn anything? Was it stupid or what? It doesn't matter to me because I'm just talking anyway. And have yourself a great evening, and been a pleasure talking to you. See you another day. Bye-bye.